Nobody talks about the exit that happens before the exit you plan. Most founders have some version of a future exit in their head. Sell the business. Step back. Hand it off. Reach the point where the thing they built can run without them being the engine of it every single day. That is the exit they are working toward. But there is another exit that happens first for most founders. One that is not planned, not celebrated, not even recognized as an exit when it is happening. It is the moment the business stops being able to grow because the founder has reached the limit of what they can personally sustain. I hit that moment before I ever came close to the planned exit, and I did not see it coming the way I expected to. It did not announce itself. There was no single moment of clarity where I understood what was happening. It was gradual. The growth that had been consistent started flattening. The energy I had always been able to summon started costing more than it used to. Decisions that had felt clear started feeling heavier. And I kept pushing because that is what founders do. They push through. They find more. They tell themselves the plateau is temporary. But the plateau was not temporary. It was structural. I had built a business that required a level of personal input I could no longer sustainably provide. Not because I had become less capable, but because the business had grown to a size where the model that got it there could not carry it any further without breaking the person running it. That is the first exit most founders never see coming. Not a sale, not a handoff, a ceiling, a structural limit where the business cannot grow further without a fundamental change in how it operates, and the founder cannot keep operating the way they have been without paying a cost that compounds into something serious. Understanding what causes this changed how I think about building entirely. The root cause is almost always the same. The business was built around the founder's capacity rather than around systems that could operate independently of that capacity. Every key decision flowed through the founder. Every client relationship was managed by the founder. Every quality control checkpoint required the founder's judgment. The business was efficient in the early stages because the founder is usually the most capable person in it. But efficiency, built on a single person's capacity, has a hard ceiling. And that ceiling arrives faster than most founders expect. The way through is not to work harder. I tried that. Working harder when you have hit a structural ceiling is like pushing harder on a door that opens the other way. The effort increases. The result does not change. What actually moves the ceiling is building the capacity of the business independent of your own. That means transferring judgment into systems. Not just tasks judgment, the ability of the business to make good decisions without the founder processing every situation personally. Most founders delegate tasks, but keep all the judgment. And judgment is the bottleneck. When the business can only make good decisions at the rate the founder can personally review situations, the growth ceiling is set by the founder's bandwidth, not by the market opportunity. I spent a significant period of my business life being the bottleneck in my own system without fully understanding that was what I was doing. I thought I was maintaining quality. I was actually limiting scale. The shift happened when I stopped asking, how do I do this better? And started asking, how do I build something that does this without me? That reorientation is uncomfortable. It requires trusting systems and people in ways that feel risky when you are used to personal control being the guarantee of quality. And there is a specific reason that discomfort is so hard to push through. When you have built something from nothing, your personal involvement is not just operational, it is identity. The business being good because you made it good is part of how you understand your own value. Delegating judgment does not just feel risky from a quality standpoint. It feels like a diminishment of the thing that made you the right person to build this in the first place. I had to separate two things that had become fused in my mind. The value I added as a builder in the early stages and the value the business needed from me in the later stages. Those are not the same thing. The skills that get a business to a certain level are not always the skills that take it further. That separation is one of the most psychologically difficult transitions in building anything. But it is also one of the most necessary. But the alternative is hitting the ceiling, recognizing it for what it is too late, and spending years trying to rebuild a business that has already started contracting around the edges because the founder who was holding it together stopped being able to hold it together at the required level. The second thing that causes this exit to arrive unannounced is that the warning signs look like normal business stress. Tiredness feels like hard work. Heavier decisions feel like growth complexity. Flattening revenue feels like a market problem. None of these things immediately read as a structural crisis. They read as a difficult season, and difficult seasons pass. So founders wait for them to pass. And sometimes they do. But when the difficulty is structural rather than seasonal, it does not pass. It settles in and compounds. The founders who navigate past this exit successfully are almost always the ones who recognize the structural nature of what they are facing early enough to address it, while the business still has momentum. Rebuilding a business structure is much easier when revenue is stable than when it is already declining. The time to build systems independence is before you desperately need it. The time to transfer judgment into processes is before the founder's capacity to hold everything together has been exhausted. This is not a warning to slow down. It is a prompt to build differently. The founders who reach their planned exit, the sale, the handoff, the genuine step back, are almost never the ones who pushed hardest. They are the ones who built most deliberately, who understood early that the business needed to be able to operate beyond their personal ceiling and designed for that reality before the ceiling arrived. That is the difference between the exit you plan and the exit that happens to you. If you have been here from the beginning, you know every episode in this series builds on what came before. If today is your first video, go back to episode 1. Subscribe, because tomorrow we go further. I will see you then.